Good morning and welcome, Patriot Radio News Hour. It is the first day of the second half of the year, July the 1st, 4th of July. Weekend is upon us. Hey, be safe out there. Be smart out there. Especially, I like fireworks like everybody else, but leave it to the professionals. Because even they, you know what? At least you're in Arizona. Even the professionals burn stuff down. So, but have a great 4th of July weekend. I will be off. Jason is going to fill my shoes here tomorrow. The Patriot office will be closed on Monday for the 4th of July holiday. Obviously, 4th of July on Sunday. The KXXT Phoenix is also closed. So the show that Jason does on Friday will be repeated on Monday, and then Jason will update you on what Colorado's going to do. We've been dealing with a bunch of issues. Jason took a day off yesterday, and I joked with Brian as I was filling in for him on the Front Range show yesterday. Yeah, we're probably never going to give Jason a day off again. We had all kinds of we had some plumbing issues develop at the radio station, so they're still working on those issues again today. So a lot of fun up there, and my thoughts and prayers are with you guys, by the way. But I'm happy that it's at your place and not my place. So sorry about that. But anyway, that's what's happening here. So Jason will fill in for me on Friday. We're going to be closed on Monday. The Patriot office will reopen again on Tuesday. Brittany has dominated the metals plans. They'll be like 98% completed this week, and they'll be 100% completed. The last of the product was supposed to be in yesterday and Wednesday, and it didn't arrive. We'll see if it arrives before the weekend. If not, it'll be here early next week, and she'll have all of it be done, finished, completed. If you want to sign up for the metals program, give us a call. We can help you. For those of you that don't know what the metals program is, it's just the best gold and silver program in the world. Because I created it. But very simply put, we run specials all the time here. A lot of these specials, especially, you look at where, forget about where the spot price of gold and silver are, because it's almost become meaningless. But if you look at, what it cost to get into hard assets, it's for a lot of people, that's a big number. So we created the metals program initially to help people that hey, I didn't have, $2,100 to buy a $20 gold piece, or I don't have $765 to buy a roll of Silver Eagles, or whatever it is that we were selling that day. So we created this program where you pick the day of the month, anywhere from the 1st to the 28th, because leap year's too hard, so we limit it to the 1st to the 28th. And you pick the amount. Now, there is a minimum in the plan. That minimum's $100 a month. And obviously, as gold prices have been and silver prices have been rallying, at the minimum end, at the $100 a month end, you're going to be mostly dealing in utility silver and things of that nature. But the minimum's $100 a month. There is no maximum. We have people doing $5,000 a month. We have people doing $100 a month. We have people doing everything in between. At the end of every quarter, we pool all of the money and we make mass buys. And just like here, like when you call and, hey, I want to do $100,000, you're going to get, volume discount. Well, the great thing about the metals program is everyone gets the volume discount. So think about if you're at the $100 a month, you got $300 at the end of the quarter. Well, you would normally, hey, you're going to pay full retail. No, you got to get a discount because you're in the metals program. And we make the buys, and we physically ship product 4 times a year. So it's really neat that, hey, you actually you get the physical product. It's just once a quarter we make those deliveries, and it's really that simple. You know, there's no, what does it cost to sign up? Nothing. What if I need to, something happened? I need I can't afford it anymore. What do I got to pay to get out of it? Nothing. There's no contracts of any kind. If you want to change the amount, there's no fee. Matter of fact, the only fees we charge in the program is the shipping fee. That's it. So if you pick up in Phoenix or you pick up in Colorado, you don't even pay for that. So it's a really neat program, and it is huge. I will tell you, it is a monumental task. Before we really added staff here, it would take us 2 to 3 weeks. The post office, put it this way, the post office won't let us ship all of the metals programs at once. They absolutely refuse. They put us on restrictions, tell us how many boxes we can bring, and now because we've added staff, right, we can do, essentially Brittany goes to the post office every single day to get it done. So it's a great program. If you want to sign up, give us a call, 800-951-0592. Patriot Radio News Hour. We'll be right back. Don't touch that dial. 800-951-0592. Patriot Radio News Hour. Don't forget those CBD products. Listen, it's really simple. Do you want to take your pharmaceuticals? Go ahead. I did for years. I've told this story thousands of times. Right? Anything I did, especially after I broke 40, right? Play around to golf, tennis, pickleball. Forget about, right, having a touch football game with the kids, right? Anything like that, right? It was nothing more than a onslaught of ibuprofen. And if it really overextended myself, right, then you got to go to the doctor, right? You got to get the muscle relaxers or whatever it may be. The CBD is it's just such a better way to let your body heal itself. And it's just so funny, really, when you go back to the ancient times, every farm of any substance grew marijuana, and not to be high. There's no THC in this product, not to be high, because of the healing power, and plus the fact they made great rope and clothing and everything else. But they knew. And then modern medicine, we won't go into that. That's a different show. Jason, maybe we'll get Jason to do a show with that. I think it was Rothschild was the one that just was the, hey, let's get rid of all these other things, and it's the modern medicine thing was what came out of that. And now we're kind of going back towards, hey, wait a minute, maybe there's a better way. And there is no doubt the CBD that we sell, it's superior quality. The Chris and Jerry, the guys that run my kind, own my kind, they care about every single step in the process. And I know this because I talk to these guys all the time. And I know I've been promising you these new products. Listen, they're coming. The bath product line is coming. It's all coming. It's just, it's paperwork and the one thing that here what I promise everybody, nothing goes on sale on our website. Nothing until all the lab results are in. And of course, like everything else, right? Well, it's at the lab. We're waiting on the lab. I don't know what the lab's doing, but as soon as we get the results, and we already know what the results are going to be, right? 98%, 99% purity, right? No heavy metals, no toxins of any kind, no THC, all of that stuff. But get out there, listen, it can help you heal, and especially, and I don't want to beat a dead horse, but if you know people struggling with cancer, whether, definitely with chemo, but even after, it continues to help the body heal itself. So go check them out, 1360 KHNC, hit the shopping cart button. And, of course, obviously it helps support the radio station all at once. It's a great combination. Can't beat it. So what's the news of the day today? Gold and silver, they're just flat. They're hanging out. The jobless claims number came in. By the way, tomorrow we'll get government jobs data. I'll be off for that, but hopefully it'll be another decent report. And I haven't even seen the numbers on it. But jobless claims. Every Thursday, how many people filed for unemployment for the very first time? We've been coming down as about half the states have gotten rid of the extra unemployment benefit. The number this week, the best one yet, 364,000. That's about 130 to 150,000. So we'll say 140,000 jobs more than what it was before the pandemic. All during the pandemic, it was somewhere between 220 and 250, 220,000 to 250,000. But remember, these are people for filing for the very first time. So still, and I'm thinking, man, everybody's hiring now. Why is there so many? I don't know. I don't have the answer. The other piece of the data, and this is the part you don't get on the television, because they don't want you to hear this part, is how many people are on these, what I'll call extra COVID-19 benefits. So when COVID came out, the government created several other additional programs. So normal unemployment, very simple process. If you get laid off, right, or you lose your job for something that's not your fault, right? If you go and you steal from your company and you get fired, you don't get unemployment benefits for that. But if you've got released from your job, you're eligible to file for unemployment. And the states will normally grant you 26 weeks. Okay, so that's 6 months. Okay, we'll give you 6 months to find a job. After 6 months, if you still haven't found a job, right, they stop paying you. Well, the government has come in and said, we're going to have all these extra programs now. Because, and rightfully so. I'm not saying they shouldn't have. When you shut down everybody's job, right, you need to do something about it. So we have these extra programs. They don't like to talk about it much on TV. This extra program, 19 to 20 million people for months. So think about COVID in March, right? By the end of 2020, there is 20 million people on these extra benefits. The number's slowly been going down. 18 million, 17 million. 16 million. The number today was just under 14.9 million. So still, think about that. It's 15 million people not working that haven't been working for 6 months or longer. And I don't get it. I was driving down the street today. Now, I don't know how many are in Arizona. My guess is very little. But this is how crazy it's getting. I'm not kidding. So I'm driving down the street. I'm at a stoplight. There's a Panda Express. Okay. And it's just a standalone Panda Express. You don't see a lot of those, but they're building these standalones now. And they've got a huge banner on the corner at the stoplight. And you see restaurants, and normally they're running whatever. We got the new fired chicken, sausage and pepper, whatever. Something like that. Now hiring, and they had a banner made, and they had prices on it that they could change. So if you wanted to be a cashier, or the person that scoops the orange chicken and the lo mein noodles and the fried rice into the container, if you're one of the what they call service, starting pay $13.75 an hour. If you wanted to be one of the people that cooked the food, $14.25. That's starting pay. And the thing about it was they had the sign set up so they could change those numbers. And you know where they're going to change them. They're like, oh, well, let's start at $13.75. Let's see if that gets it done. I'll go back. It's normally not a street I'm on, but I'll check on it and see if that all of a sudden, it's $14.50 and $15, right? I mean, it's almost like gas now. Hey, what is Panda Express paying today? Right? I'm holding out. I'm going to wait for $15. As soon as that sign says 15, I'm going to walk in there. But transitory, no, not going to happen. But still, just under 15 million people. And again, I'm guessing, because I don't have the breakout. Most of those people are prominently probably in the blue states. But I only bring it up because there's a lot of little things that they don't want to talk about. That means these people, they used to be working, which meant they were paying in to Social Security. They were paying into Medicare and Medicaid. I think what's going to be really interesting, because I do believe, and maybe it's wishful thinking, that by the end of this year, all of these people are going to have to go back to work. Now, there's going to be a portion of them, and I don't know what that number is, that these people, or at least maybe I'm being over. You know what? I'm just being overly optimistic today, which is not my thing. Maybe a lot of these people are in their mid to late 60s. Or maybe even 70, I don't know. And they're going to retire anyway. And they're like, hey, until they cut me off, I'll keep getting these checks. But the rest of these people are going to have to go back to work. And again, they're going to go back into a workforce that wages are significantly higher. I mean, Arizona, I think the minimum wage in Arizona is now $12.50. That's what I believe. And I know it's at least 12. We're on these. And the reason I don't know exactly, because we're on one of those scale things where the first of every year the wage goes up. And I think we're going to, and I could be wrong on this, I think we're going to 13 as a state. You're not getting anyone to work for $12. Not happening. I think Walmart right now is at 14. And so this is something where, but I bring it up in twofold. Number one, this flies in the face of transitory inflation, right? Because rising wages. And the problem is the wages aren't actually even keeping up with the rents, right? We did that one yesterday. But the other part is, think about this now, for about a year and a half, 15 to 20 million people didn't pay in to FICA. Which, we call it Social Security, but really it's Medicare, Medicaid, Social Security Disability. I mean, it's a bunch of stuff. This is going to dramatically change the timeline. And so we only get this report once a year, and I actually think it comes out in September. It's going to be very interesting to see how they're going to handle that, because at some point here, very quickly, we're going to have to deal with it. And the problem is, the longer this goes on, the faster we have to deal with it. So thank you to the states that have stopped the extra $300. To the ones that didn't, right, we're just, we're developing another problem that we're going to have to deal with. But that was the number today. At least the initial jobless claims are below 400,000 finally. So let's call that a positive. Continuing claims, all continuing claims, just below 15 million. Again, I'll call it a positive. It's the lowest it's been. I mean, it shouldn't be that high. We need these people to get back to work. We need them to go back to work right away, because we need to pay them that FICA tax. I'm just saying. Just something else to think about. When we get back, this is an article I've been waiting all day. The Financial Times coming out now and saying China is on the clock to step up in a big way as a reserve currency. You're not going to want to miss it. 800-951-0592. And I get it, right? We're focused on stuff like handouts, and we got people in here right now. They're picking up some product, and during the break we got to talking, and they're like, "Hey, didn't the moratorium for the renters that haven't been paying their rent end? It actually got extended another month. It was supposed to end yesterday, not till the end of July." Now, and they said, but that's the final time. But you got to remember, all we did is train people not to pay, and that's really what's happened. Switching gears a little bit, because I know we're focused on that, and what's happening at the border, right? We want to go on vacation. We want to do. Listen, the world's not stopping, and a lot of things are happening that aren't right now in our line of sight. They're not the priority, right? Hey, it's like just like at the radio station, man. We got 100 things we want to get done. Well, we're focused on the top 10. We're not really paying attention to number 26 or 37 or 48 on that list. The Financial Times, big article today. First, it briefly mentioned, how China got into the reserve currency basket? So there's only certain currencies allowed to have what they call reserve currency status, at the Bank of International Settlement and the IMF. And in 2016, they let China in. And I said at the time, China didn't meet those requirements. There are certain things you had to do to be considered a reserve currency. And most of it was about currency flows, and a lot of the rules were set up to where, hey, if you're an authoritarian government or a communist government, you can't get in. Right? You can't put controls in there. Like, we don't try to control stuff, but that's a different show. But they let China in anyway. And the Financial Times made reference to that today and said, China made one attempt to turn the renminbi into an international currency. And they talked about this period from 2009 to 15. And really, I don't think China was really making... China got what it wanted out of that. Hey, put us in the basket, or we're going to compete against you, so they put them in. Okay? But now, the Financial Times is saying, this time China's trying again, and things really could be different. The renewed effort to dethrone the dollar. And I encourage all of you, President Xi, whatever it is, boy, did he have a speech the other day. Flat out saying, Taiwan and Hong Kong are ours. And make no mistake about it, China will be the world's superpower within 30 years. That was what he said. And all of a sudden, the Financial Times is writing this article about dethroning the dollar, based in a large part on China's technological prowess. You know, Bucky Dillon, he could actually back a lot of this up. It is banking that the development of the necessary financial infrastructure, the country's world-beating mobile payment system. And you just don't even think about it. But Bucky Dillon, you know, his wife's from China. He spent time there. And he was telling me a story one day where he's like, you can't do anything in China without your phone. You can't get on the subway. You can't buy things at the shop. I mean, it is. So when the Financial Times says, listen, China's way ahead of us in this stuff. You know, my kids do the, the Venmo thing and that, but, they when they go to the store, they pay with their phone. And the successful launch of its digital version of the Renminbi will make it easier to use and promote the currencies beyond China's border. The approach is unorthodox. If they succeed in its quest, it will undermine the dollar-led global order. And the Financial Times said in it very specifically, even if the West wants to shun it, China's fear of geopolitical influence and a challenge to the way America wields power is going to happen. He said America may want to deny it, Europe may want to fight them, but all the other countries, the third world countries, they're all going to jump on board. All the Asian countries are going to jump on board. This is what the Financial Times is saying. They said, listen, China's the second largest economy in the world in dollar terms. It's going to be the largest economy in the world in every term in a few years anyway. Okay, so we're splitting hairs on that one. It's the world's biggest trading nation. It's dwarfing us in trade now. I mean, we used to be number one. That's how we became a superpower. The renminbi should be used far more extensively than it is. Of course, again, the issue always has been, well, they're communist and they have capital controls and people don't like it. It's funny how things are starting to change. China still has restrictions, but it's far less than what it used to be. But they said, here's what is really driving some of their success. The dollar doesn't pay any interest anymore. They're riddled with debt. It's not been a good store of value. They're saying that the renminbi, there's three things that you have to be a major player as a reserve currency. Medium of exchange, right? We get that. You got to pay, right? Can you pay for stuff with it? Store of value and a unit of account. Those are the three things. I'm going to tell you what the Financial Times says where China's at on these three things when we return. Don't touch that dial. 800-951-0592. So, three things that they need. First one, medium of exchange. Here's what the Financial Times says. The People's Bank of China is well advanced in its preparations for the digital renminbi, which will initially serve its domestic economy. So think about it already, right? Okay, it's the second, really the first largest economy in the world. But the central bank isn't stopping there. They're already working with counterparts in Hong Kong, Thailand, the United Arab Emirates, all major money centers, by the way, that aren't New York or London, alongside the Bank of International Settlements. Interesting. Using a digital ledger of transactions, right? That's that blockchain. That's really the tracking device. Of course, the Chinese love this. The aim to harness central banks' digital currencies that will make multi-currency cross-border payments simpler and cheaper. So when you think about the first part of that medium of exchange, they've got it. Just in their own country, they've got it. Right? It's good, and they're as they said, well advanced. By the way, they're working on things with the Bank of International Settlements to boot. Now, they said the West may try to reject it, but the project offers benefits that will appeal to all emerging markets and by currency arrangements in which the correspondent bank often acts as an intermediary for other financial transfers. So they're saying, listen, China's going to get the emerging market. And of course, right, China, we know, right, they're probably the biggest trading partners with those markets as well. How about store of value? So the Financial Times says, listen, median of exchange, yeah, they've got that. That's done. So the second one, store of value. And this is where it really caught my eye. Because they're saying China's making huge progress on boosting the renminbi's attractiveness as a store of value. And they took a lot of shots at the dollar. You know, you look at our Fed funds rate, you know, they're trying to keep it at 0.1%, right? You know, it's 0.005 or whatever it is. Establishing its credentials as a stable, low inflation economy. As financial markets are worrying about unprecedented financial and monetary stimulus that will unleash inflation in the United States, tarnishing the dollar. Central banks and financial institutions regard that the renminbi as a credible store of value have now more rein to express their view. China has opened its capital markets to foreign investors, triggering hefty inflows into its stocks and bond markets over the last several years. And this is critical. And something I don't talk a lot about. Again, you know, it's not on my line of sight all the time. More money. China's now, you know, the U.S. still inflows for stuff like that. We're still number one. China's cut into that by 50% now. I mean, they're now number two and on their way to being number one. And they're saying, hey, the more inflation rolls in America, the more inflows you're going to see into the Chinese markets. And a lot of that, listen, let's face it, the Chinese government didn't used to allow for that. So what's the last one? So let's just say this. Usefulness as a currency to medium of exchange, check. Store of value, which used to be, check. And guess what? Maybe even check plus. Because they're starting to look really good compared to the dollar. So what about a unit of account? It's another area that's increased since the initial bid to internationalize the renminbi. Trade invoicing in the renminbi. Okay, so this is, are you doing contracts in the Chinese currency to buy whatever, crude oil or gold? And they highlight that China has launched futures contracts in oil, in gold, in a lot of the commodities. Those who doubt that the renminbi will become a reserve currency will point to the absence of rule of law in China. And again, listen, laws change. China's been changing the laws just enough. And of course, obviously, that they're a communist regime. But they're saying that with all of the recent attacks in the U.S. on its democratic institutions, and the fact that the United States seems to be going socialist, China is now striving to capitalize. I'm telling you right now, and I've been saying it, it's on. Right? The battle is on. It's here. Patriot Radio News Hour, final segment coming up. 800-951-0592. I've got some of each. $10 libs. This is the last day. $10 libs, 1,035. I'll just let you know, starting tomorrow, look for about a $15 increase, assuming gold stays where it's at. Right now, gold's at $1,772, literally unchanged today. Silver just over $26 today, also unchanged. And then I've got the 20s, 2,075, again, last day. Tomorrow, assuming no change in gold, we're looking at 2110. So just buy them for less. There you go. There's my advice to you. 800-951-0592. So the Financial Times saying, hey, listen, China's got 2 out of 3. They're absolutely a medium of exchange. Store of value, we did it to ourselves, essentially, is what the Financial Times said. Hey, inflation's running wild everywhere but China. And then last but not least, right, then this is probably the biggest part, is that unit of account. In other words, how much of global trade is it being conducted in renminbi? And the Financial Times said this is the highest it's been 2020. And by the way, 2021, I already can tell you, it's going to be even higher. Since we finally let them into the Bank of International Settlements. The peak for China was about 25%. Right now, China's global trade percentage in renminbi is about 17 to 18%. And that's older data. So I think we'll probably see a number next year for 2021 because it runs a year behind. China's going to be about 20%, the renminbi. And the Financial Times is saying, listen, the way we're reading what's happening, America's moving away from capitalism, and China is seizing the opportunity. And the biggest thing, the last piece of the article said, and the biggest advantage is China's first. China's already there. They already have the digital currency. They already have the ledger. They're working with all the other major financial hubs other than New York and London, right? Hong Kong, Thailand, United Arab Emirates. and the Bank of International Settlements. And since the store of value part, right, China's proving, look how stable our currency is. Not to mention, you get a better interest rate with the Chinese right now. And of course, our interest rates, the 10-year note keeps falling. It makes no sense. Financial Times thinks it's going to be very different this time around. And I agree with them. We know it's going to be, listen, it's going to be a different world in 5 years. Just be prepared. Have that gold put away. $20 gold pieces last day, $20.75. $10 pieces last day, $1,035. 800-951-0592. God bless. I'll be back next week. Have a great 4th of July weekend. Jason will take care of you tomorrow.